Hey, what's going on? My name is Bim. I hope I'm in focus. I can't see myself. I haven't replaced my camera yet. Soonish, I will. And this is the MSI Force GC30 wireless gaming controller. Now, I want to start this video by saying I like MSI. I went out of my way to get an MSI GPU because they're durable, they run cool, they run quiet, they overclock well. And that same love for that brand is why I'm so disappointed in the Force GC30. Let's check it out. All right, so let's talk about the build quality of this thing and the value that you get from it. So this is what it comes with out of the box. You've got the controller, you've got, the controller comes with a removable D-pad plate, an alternative D-pad plate, an octagonal one, a dongle. I don't know when this was manufactured. Maybe I should have looked it up, but I don't think that there is a place for dongles in this day and age, but there you go. Why is the focus so bad? So it comes with a dongle. I don't think that any controller this day and age needs a dongle, but there you go. It also comes with the manual, of course, different languages, operation manual. And then you've got two cables. One is a 2-meter long micro USB cable. It comes with, it's actually quite nice. The quality is quite nice and it's branded, very nice. And a 10 centimeter, or I'm gonna put the correct length down here somewhere. OTG cable for Android. So you can play this with your Android devices. All right, so that's what it comes with out of the box. All right, let's talk build quality. So the controller itself is made from a very nice plastic. The front shell and the back shell are identical. So they're both of a very high quality matte, non-fingerprinty plastic, which is very good. There is a red plastic that runs across the controller. The plastic on the red feels a little cheaper, but not too bad. You don't really get to touch it a lot. And that adds a really nice highlight of red to the controller. Then you've got these rubbery grips on either side of the controller, which make it much grippier, very nice to hold. The tops of the analog sticks are made from the same material as the body, so they're also very nice. There is a steel-like plate underneath this thing, which makes snapping these D-pad covers on quite easy. It just snaps on magnetically. See, very easy. The bumpers and triggers are made from a lesser quality plastic than the actual body, but still pretty good to touch. It's not terrible, but you can feel the difference in quality. The face buttons are made from a clear plastic. It's the same material as the one on the logo, the home button. And they're all right in terms of quality. In terms of comfort, it's actually one of the more comfortable third-party controllers out there. So the grips are nice and long and thick enough to be able to hold comfortably. It's very ergonomic. Maybe a couple grooves here and there for the fingers would be great, but you know, still, it's one of the more comfortable third-party controllers out there. The face buttons, I have a problem pressing just because they're a little too spherical. I don't know if you could notice the shape. Versus if you look at a DualShock 4, the face buttons are quite tapered off. They're flattened out at the top, which make them much nicer to press. It's the same with the Xbox One. But these ones are so rounded that they're kind of hard to glide your finger across like this when you're playing like fighting games. The analog sticks, I feel like, have such an aggressive curve to them. So when you're aiming left and right, it starts out okay, it starts out controllable, then they just move way too fast. This isn't necessarily bad, it's just not something I'm used to. The curve I'm used to is more of the DualShock 4, where it's a little more uniform from the center to the far edges of the actual stick. So if you're used to this, it might make snapping to targets easier if you're used to like really fast acceleration, but just it's not for me. Not necessarily bad, but just not perfect for me. The bumper itself, the bumpers themselves are actually quite nice to touch. It gives you a nice audible click. Click, 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 click. It's very nice. The triggers I had a problem with when I was playing Ghost Recon Wildlands. So there were a couple of instances where I felt like I had pulled the trigger enough to fire, but it turns out I had to pull it all the way down to activate the triggers. It's the same for the driving in that game. I know driving in Wildlands isn't good to begin with, but these didn't help. So you had to kind of press it all the way down to activate the triggers. In terms of what I find really bad about this controller, when I said it was disappointing earlier, and it's because of the D-pad. The D-pad is probably the worst D-pad I have ever used in any controller, third party or otherwise. It is incredibly, incredibly inaccurate. Just doing a simple crouch dash like this, or Shoryuken or whatever, or even selecting a character from the character selection screen is weirdly impossible, because any left or right input always comes with some kind of up or down command. And I think it's because they forced this whole snapping plate thing that if you look underneath this thing, it's essentially a tiny circle. So you've got this tiny cross shape, and then there's a circle here, which makes, see, it's essentially a circle. It's essentially an analog stick, really, which makes it incredibly inaccurate. Like doing any type of input on a fighting game is practically impossible on this thing, coupled with the awkward to press rounded face buttons. So if you're saying, okay, I don't play fighting games, I just play like shooters or adventure games, action games, then it wouldn't matter to me too much. Not really, because let's say in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, up is to call earbird Icaros, down is to whistle, which breaks stealth. It alerts all the enemies like within your immediate vicinity. Left is to switch arrows, right is to switch weapons. So let's say you're in a bush, you're switching weapons, and you suddenly call Icaros, or you whistle unintentionally. Then it breaks your stealth. If you're in combat, you're doing light attacks, you want to switch weapons, you call Icaros, or you whistle, or whatever. It's annoying, and that's not even the worst of it. So if you're playing something like Sekiro, left and right scroll through your quick select inventory. Up is to use, I don't know if that's the default setting, that's how I have it set up. Up is to use item. And there are some pretty rare items in Sekiro that you could put in your quick select menu, like the confetti. Sometimes just scrolling through this, you would end up using your gorge or your confetti or whatever. So it is really terrible. And it's because of this whole gimmick that they've got going on. Lately, I've been having connectivity issues. So I plug this in, I press the home button, it starts searching for a receiver, but it connects for a while, then it disconnects immediately. I find that if you only use one launcher, there's no conflict. So if you close down Steam and if you're using Origin or Uplay, then it works a little better. But still, I get disconnected for some reason. I tried using a USB cable and I get the same issue. I don't know if it's just because I've broken it from too much use. But it happened to me, so I felt like it was fair to mention it. So at 2,000 pesos or $40, is the MSI Force GC30 worth it? No, it's not. I would say you would probably be better off buying a Ghillie kit, the Pro version, the Ghillie kit King Kong wireless controller for the Switch, PC, Android. The GameSir T4 is actually already a better value. The Logitech F310, or if you want to splurge a little bit, get a DualShock 4, which is always going to be the default. Get a DualShock 4. So, if you found the video informative or entertaining, if it helped you in your purchasing decision a little bit, we are trying to get back our monetization for YouTube. So if you would subscribe, that would help me a lot. If you would leave a like or a comment, that would be great. So, My name has been Bim. I will catch you guys in the next one.